You ever just look in the mirror and just feel heavy, but not just in your body? Like you're holding years of stuff you never really got to unpack. That's what we're unpacking today. Because sure, we can talk about weight loss, but we also need to talk about the emotional weight, the silence, the stuff nobody sees. That's the part we don't talk about enough. So if you're walking, driving, maybe even just cleaning your kitchen right now, I just want you to be here. Let this moment be yours. This is a space for real women who've spent too long being everything for everyone and forgot to be something for themselves. And today, I'm sharing part of my own story. This is your host, caregiver, and this is the weight of her story. There's a kind of weight we carry that no one sees. It doesn't show up in the before and after pictures. It doesn't always register on the scale, but it does show up in how we eat, how we perform, and how we cope. And for a long time, I didn't even know I was carrying it. After years of giving, of showing up, of pushing through, I realized I wasn't just tired, I was depleted. The emotional weight of being strong, it was heavier than anything I've ever tried to lose. Growing up, food wasn't fuel. It was a celebration. It was an escape. It was comfort. I learned to soothe with sugar even before I learned to nourish with nutrients. I didn't grow up overeating. That was never my issue. I wasn't sitting around with big portions, but what I was doing was living in a home where sugar got sprinkled on everything. Rice, beans, grits, cereal, even spaghetti. I mean, it was like a seasoning. It wasn't just food, it was comfort. It was how the hard days got softer. And when that starts young, you start linking sweetness with safety, with reward, with love. So when I started gaining weight around age 13, it wasn't because I ate too much. It was because I didn't know how to process emotions. I was eating sugar like medicine. I wasn't addicted to food. I was addicted to relief. Sugar patterns rarely start in adulthood. They're seated in small moments that feel harmless. Maybe it's sprinkling sugar over breakfast cereal so the kids will finish it, or promising dessert if everyone cleans their plate. At first, it looks like love, a celebration, even comfort. But repetition turns that kindness into conditioning. Great report card, let's get ice cream. Rough day, how about some cookies to cheer you up? Soon, the body and the brain start linking any heightened emotion to an automatic sugar fix. I remember when my mom remarried. I was 10, adjusting to a new home and a new father figure. And when he took over the cooking in our home, sugar was his seasoning. He cooked meals the way he had been raised. At first, I cringed. Then I craved it. Those tiny white crystals became little signals of comfort, in an unfamiliar season, and unknowingly, my first emotional habit. What I didn't understand then was that he was simply repeating what he'd seen. His way of cooking was inherited, passed down, like a recipe for survival. And later, I'd realize some of those inherited patterns evolved into much heavier struggles of his own. But for now, that sugar, it was the one thing that felt reliable. So by the time I was a teenager and stress hit, I had already had the recipe. Big feelings, sweet reward. Here's the part I've never said out loud. I was only a child for 13 years. Then, almost overnight, our house filled with foster siblings. First one sister, then two more, then another, and another. My mom felt called to help kids who needed a home, and my stepdad didn't oppose. I admired her heart. She always cared for everyone else's children, cousins, nieces, nephews, often more than she cared for herself. But with every new placement came more responsibility. Quick meals to fix, homework to help with, and toddlers to soothe. I grew up fast. That's why I took my first job as soon as I could legally do it, at Dairy Queen. It was another commitment, but it also was an escape. A place where my reward loop was literally built into every shift. I'd clock out with a blizzard or bring home a 6-pack of dilly bars, convincing myself I'd earned it for juggling school, work, and early graduation ambitions. What started out as fun, sprinkles, soft serve, the thrill of free ice cream became another layer of coping. And it made perfect sense. Sweets had always shown up when life felt heavy or uncertain. That's how sugar moves from a treat to a reflex. It isn't just what we eat after dinner. It's how we soothe disappointment, celebrate victories, and even mask fear. Maybe that's why my first job of choice would end up being Dairy Queen. I used to go home with a treat every night, like it was a prize for surviving the day. Looking back, I wasn't just working, I was continuing the loop. As you listen, ask yourself, when did sugar become more than a taste? Was it a birthday cake, a grandparent's candy dish, or a coach's post-game donuts? Because the pattern we learned is usually the pattern we teach, unless we break the chain. And maybe for you, it's not sugar. Maybe it's a favorite bag of salt and vinegar chips, a soda you now drink at 7 a.m. just to get going. Maybe it's your favorite coffee with an extra shot of this and an extra shot of that. Maybe it's a cocktail that used to be a weekend indulgence, but now it just feels like the only way you can unwind. Maybe it's not just a reward anymore. Maybe it's a routine. I remember standing in the mirror one day and thinking, I'm not just carrying pounds, I'm carrying pressure. Pressure to be perfect. Pressure to bounce back. Pressure to not need help. But healing doesn't happen in pressure. It happens in permission. Permission to pause, to feel, to let go of roles that were never ours to carry alone. I was the strong one, the one who held it together, didn't cause problems, didn't complain. But here's what I learned the hard way. Silence, it's heavy. When you're not allowed to speak your truth, you start swallowing it. And it doesn't just go away. It finds a home somewhere else. And for me, that home was my body. My weight became a reflection of all the things I didn't get to say out loud. So when I hit my 30s and tried to get healthy, I wasn't just trying to drop pounds. I was trying to find my voice. I want you to take a breath. Now think about the mental backpack you leave the house with every day. Let's get honest for a second, because this might be the part where you start seeing yourself clearly for the first time in a long time. Maybe at work, you're the dependable one, the person everyone calls when the project is on fire. You bring the extra charger, keep the shared spreadsheet color-coded, pick up coffee for the team, and somehow still smile on the Zoom call, even when you're drowning in deadlines. Maybe at home, you're the reliable daughter, sister, aunt, or partner who remembers birthdays, plans the holiday menu, and checks on mom's prescriptions. Because if I don't do it, who will? Maybe you're the mom who does everything, who knows where every missing sock is, who remembers the dentist appointments, who carries the emotional temperature of the house while trying to hold her own peace together. Or maybe you're the friend that everyone calls when they need advice, prayer, or help moving. But they forget to ask you how you are. They remember your strength, but not your heart. You listen, but rarely feel heard. That kind of dependable can feel noble, but it's also heavy. Let me ask you something real quick. When was the last time someone asked, "How are you?" without needing something? At work, do you ever eat lunch at your desk because stepping away feels irresponsible? Do you grab a donut for the whole team and tell yourself, "You can balance it out later"? I've been there. At home, are you so busy plating everyone else's dinner that yours is whatever is left over in the pan? When you finally get time alone, do you feel too tired to even think about your own needs? If any of that landed, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not weak. You are simply weighed down. And when you're carrying everyone else's load, even perfect meals can override the cortisol, the late night exhaustion, or the silent stress snacking. So the next time you feel tempted to blame willpower, ask instead, whose backpack am I wearing right now? Mine or everybody else's? This is your invitation to set one bag down today, even if it's only for an hour. Small relief counts. I remember at the beginning of my journey, making myself a healthy dinner, salad, grilled vegetables, and salmon. And then I'd turn right around and eat cookies right after. Not because I needed more food, but because I still needed something sweet. I needed comfort. That's when I started asking the deeper questions. What am I really hungry for? Not just in my stomach, but in my life. The answer, I just wanted peace, some rest, a little bit of joy, a sense of control again. I was never eating for fuel. I was just trying to hold myself together. That changed everything. The real shift started after hitting so many plateaus, yo-yoing between progress and frustration. I'd lose some weight, then gain a few pounds back, over and over. Things shifted when I realized I didn't just need another plan. I needed consistency. I needed the guessing to go away. Things didn't shift because of a 30-day program or a detox tea. They shifted when I found out what my blood type was. Being type A and what I understood that meant now, I finally got why some healthy foods made me bloated or tired. I understood why I couldn't just push harder at the gym. My body wasn't broken. It was just asking me to listen. From there, everything changed. Not overnight, but in rhythm. I lost 30 pounds in 9 months. But more importantly, I started living in alignment. And when I did that, I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. I stopped blaming myself. I started working with my body and not against it. If you're in a place where you're trying to do everything right, but nothing seems to work, I see you. You don't need to do more. You need to go deeper. Let's talk for a moment, just you and me. What are you really craving when you reach for that sugar or whatever your treat may be? What would it feel like to stop reaching for food, just to feel a moment of control? What would it feel like to have comfort without the crash? What would it feel like to escape without needing to distract or suppress what you're really feeling? Because maybe it's not all about feeling safe. Maybe it's about feeling in control, in comfort, in clarity. Have you ever imagined what life might feel like without all the stress? Without masking or covering up your emotions just to get through the day? What if you could speak freely, without judgment, without shame, and without feeling like you were spiraling out of control? And what if, just maybe, you started treating yourself like someone worth caring for? This is not about discipline. This is about awareness. Your body has been talking to you for a long time. And maybe this is the season you finally start listening. Let me leave you with this. You're not addicted to food. You're craving comfort. Overeating isn't the only way weight shows up. Emotional weight is just as real. Just because something felt normal growing up doesn't mean it was helpful. Your story matters, and your body has been holding it for years. And you can rewrite your health story, not through punishment, but through partnership. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with a sister, a friend, or maybe even a coworker. And if you're listening right now thinking, that sounds like me, I want you to know you're not alone. I see you. I've been there. And I'm glad you're here. This is just the beginning. But take care of yourself today, even if it's just one small way, because you deserve that much. And next time, we'll be peeling back another layer. We'll talk about what it really means to be the one who does it all, and at what cost when no one stops to ask you if you're okay. So come back. Make space for yourself once again. You don't have to carry this alone. You never did.